What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 3 and Out YouTube page. I'm John Middlekauff, and we are talking football all day, every day. Make sure you subscribe, like the video, share it with your friends. Let's roll, baby. Okay, let's do a couple quick mailbag questions because we haven't done the mailbag in a little bit, and a lot of you guys sent me questions. So I thought, let's hit a couple. Question for the bag. This is from Goose Charger. As a diehard Panthers fan, I love and miss Luke so much. If he were to go in a draft today, where do you think he would go against the likes of other talented defensive ends? Also, I still think about the one Patriots fan that wanted to jump ship after one bad season. They've had a couple, but I hear you. I mean, you don't get to have 20 years of kicking ass and then go through some rocky times and be like, I think I was going to pick a new team. I think if he was in the draft last season or, a couple months ago, because the quarterbacks all went, I would say Harbaugh would have taken Alt over him. Quarterbacks went 1, 2, 3. I think the Cardinals would still take Marvin Harrison over him. I think the Harbaugh would take the offensive lineman. I think he'd be in the mix with Malik Nabers at 6. I mean, he went 8 in his draft. I don't have his draft in front of me, but I think you could make a very, very good case for him going over Malik Nabers at 6. Luke Kuechly was a special player, and if he didn't have the concussion issues, I mean, he's an all-time great linebacker. Like, it's just certain guys, because of injuries, they get derailed, but in their peak, it's clear. Like Navarro Bowman was this. Now his career was even derailed faster. It's like, yeah, this is one of the better players I've ever seen. Now, part of, being a Hall of Famer or whatever is, and Luke did it longer, but Patrick Willis, it's like, that's as good as it gets right there. Luke Kuechly, Patrick Willis, Urlacher forever, Ray Lewis, elite player. Do you think there's a chance this show leads him to losing his job? Speaking on Joe Schoen. How many cringe videos can he let be aired? Players will surely get a bad taste in their mouth when thinking about signing as a free agent. While he's still there, knowing how he's compensated talent and having conversations like this with a player that means as much as does to the organization via a phone call. I don't have a problem with him calling Saquon Barkley to let him know their decision, even though it just felt, my take earlier in the podcast was pretty simple. He just kind of feels like a number 2. He does not feel like a number 1. And ultimately letting Saquon Barkley go, like, I understand it's a tough decision given their current salary cap structure with Daniel Jones, but they never should have got to that situation. They should have locked Saquon Barkley up 2 years ago and not done what they did with Daniel Jones. I think why he's going to lose his job is if Saquon balls with the Eagles, it's one thing to play well if he had gone to the Cardinals or Seattle or Minnesota or just some team that has no connection to the Giants. To the Philadelphia Eagles, who, let's face it, are just going to be good. How good, I don't know, but what's their floor? What's the Eagles' floor? I have a hard time seeing them go 9-8. So it feels like 10-7 is probably their floor. And he is going to be a major part of it. And the Giants ain't winning 10 games. So you're going to watch Saquon in Philly, balling out. That's how you get fired, man. I think that's the reason he's going to get fired, not the videos. I do give him credit. I guess I don't, because the Giants were forced into this. It wasn't their choice, right? The league is very aggressive about, it's hard to get out of these things. And when you've been bad for a while, like, obviously you can't, like the Niners or the Rams or the Eagles, like, they don't have access to those teams because you make the playoffs and they're not part of the umbrella of teams they can get access to. I wonder if John Mara was like, I wouldn't mind cameras on these guys. See what it looks like. I want to see for myself. Obviously, I see it in real life, but I don't see everything they do. I want to see it. Is there a chance that happened? That John Mara gave the go-ahead because, like, I kind of want to evaluate these guys under a different light. Why is everyone so down on Trevor Lawrence? The Jags were 8-3 before he got a high ankle sprain and the injury to his throwing shoulder. After that, he played bad, but people act like he was horrible the whole season. I agree. I think sometimes we go too far, and I think Trevor Lawrence is one of those where he's just talked about like a scrub. Like Trevor Lawrence sucks. No, he doesn't suck. You would take him over without even thinking, I don't know, 16, 17 guys with ease. I think the thing where people are really critical is to pay him $200 million guaranteed. After that, it's like, that's pretty risky. I understand he was banged up, but my whole thing was just, couldn't we do this next year? If he has a good year, what's he get next year? 210? It's not like the number would go from 200 to 250. So what was the rush to do it now? You're just keeping your fingers crossed, but there is a chance. Like, what if he just plateaus and he's just above average guy? Above average guys, you don't want making $50 million. To pay that type freight, I got to know. He's already making a lot of money. He was the number 1 overall pick. So you're right. He is not some scrub the way people are acting like. I don't even know who to compare him to, but part of it is when you're drafted number 1 overall, the hype that comes with that, and the hype on that specific player. He was the most hyped prospect since Andrew Luck. And this year, he's a Caleb Williams level prospect. You're going to see it with Caleb. Like, the expectations are just super high. So anything less than 30 touchdowns and going to the playoffs feels like a dramatic letdown. They like him, clearly. I think there's a lot of pressure on him this year. I guess. Actually, how is there any pressure on him? What if he sucks? What does it matter? They're not going to bench him. They can't cut him now or anything. Not like you're going to trade him. He's your quarterback.
Forget what the calendar says. Football season is right around the corner. And that means Best Ball Week at DraftKings isn't far behind. Here's what you need to know. DraftKings Best Ball Millionaire Contest is their biggest fantasy contest ever. We're talking 15 million guaranteed prize pool with that's right, 2 millionaires being crowned for the first and second place. If you're a set it and forget it type, I know I am, then Best Ball is for you. No waiver wires, no roster management, bigger rosters, so injuries will not ruin your season. Only the draft, and that's it. You're set for the year. Some of you might have heard I won $18,000 a couple weeks ago at the U.S. Open. It's an incredible high. But $15 million in prize pool, how do you beat that? Multiple millionaires crowned with winning this. I can't even imagine the high being in the mix. And like they said, no roster management. Injuries won't impact you because you got bigger rosters. Still not convinced? Check this out. This year, DraftKings is offering everyone a draft one, get one special. Your $20 entry fee scores you a bonus ticket. Get ready for Best Ball Week at DraftKings. Download the DraftKings app and use the code JOHN. That's code JOHN for all customers who enter the NFL Best Ball 15 Millionaire Contest to get a bonus ticket. Only during Best Ball Week, only on DraftKings.
Do NFL teams pay insurance on their star players' big contracts? For example, if McCaffrey has a season-ending injury, do the 49ers get compensation back from an insurance company? That's a good question that I don't, you'd have to, the GMs and specifically the contract negotiators / owners. I'm pretty sure there are clauses in contracts that when you're on IR, I don't have to pay you as much than when you're playing. I mean, ultimately I'm paying you for the games, but that's where the guaranteed money kicks in, right? It kind of protects me against that. But it's also why the injury guarantee and non-injury guarantee are a really big deal. It's why, in these contracts where they hold guys out because they don't want to get them injured, because it does immediately click in the money. I'm not exactly sure how the insurance works. It obviously works in other sports, basketball and baseball with these enormous guarantees when guys get injured. But I just know there are clauses in contracts about missing time and the amount that I actually have to pay you relative to when you're actually playing. This is from Josh. Curious as to who you think might be the biggest underachiever at quarterback going back to the 2000s. Some names that come to mind. Matt Ryan, MVP, solid team around him, obvious Super Bowl choke. Phillip Rivers, great player, but 5-7 in the playoffs. And Peyton Manning, regarded as one of the GOATs, but barely above 500 in the playoffs. I could not put Peyton Manning in the underachiever. He had some games he would like to have back in the playoffs, but at the end of the day, he went to 4 Super Bowls. He won, I think, 4 or 5 MVPs, and he's easily one of the greatest players of all time. So I cannot put Peyton Manning with Matt Ryan and Phillip Rivers. I think Phillip Rivers and Matt Ryan would be up there, but I would, like Matt Ryan, like you said, went to a Super Bowl, dominated in that Super Bowl till the end, and won an MVP that year. That is better than anything Phillip Rivers did. In a weird way, you could argue Phillip Rivers' career underachieved. I will defend Phillip Rivers. After Marty Schottenheimer was fired, what did the Chargers do? Constantly. Cheap coaches. Can you imagine if Phillip Rivers, in his heyday, would have had Jim Harbaugh running the operation? I don't think we look Phillip Rivers' career as an underachievement. I have a hard time with really talented guys that play for shitty coaches. I mean, let's call it what it is. Let's just be real. Anthony Lynn and Mike McCoy played a lot of years under those guys. What should the expectations be when that's the case? And I think Norv Turner after Marty left? My memory, is that correct? So I would say Phillip Rivers' career definitely underachieved, but some of it, like, and listen, I saw Phillip Rivers play live probably 4 or 5 times. He could get very interception happy, forcing things, but I think his coaching staff was just consistently pretty crappy. If he had the same career and Harbaugh or John Harbaugh or McVay or Shanahan or one of those guys or Pete Carroll, you'd be like, God, should have been better. I just look who coached him the majority of his games. Like, those guys aren't head coaches. They shouldn't be head coaches. And they'll never be head coaches again. It's why, like, people are critical of Justin Herbert. I promise you this. He's going to be good for Jim Harbaugh. He will be. You don't even need to guess. It's going to work. And it's going to work well. I don't care who you are. Peyton Manning, obviously, is a much better player than Phillip Rivers. Maybe he could overcome average coaches because he essentially can just become the offensive coordinator. And if you just draft decent on defense, I mean, look, when he got to Denver, it was on like Donkey Kong. And they dominated for, they would have dominated for 4 straight years, but his arm fell off his 4th year. But that team was a juggernaut. Why? Because they had Peyton Manning running the show on offense, and their defense was elite. They were unstoppable. But they had a well-run operation. That was when John Elway was picking a ton of good players. They were just well-run. And I don't think you could ever say with the Chargers when Rivers was there, yeah, they were well-run. Like, I don't think you can say that. So it sounds like I'm defending him because I do think he underachieved. But I think there were variables that definitely did not help him out.